A very good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you, depending on where you are watching us from, and you are warmly welcome to the Power Impact Series, proudly brought to you by the African Seasoned Speakers Network, which is a platform that brings on board speakers from all over the world to be a source of encouragement, to be a source of motivation to people, and especially to the young generation of Africa. My name is Ambassador Benjamin Oswans, and it is always a privilege having you here on the Power Impact Series, because we come in with speakers that's going to influence you. And today is not going to be of a difference. Today, I bet you, how often do you hear about the word cybersecurity? And what is your understanding of cybersecurity? How do you understand cybersecurity? We always hear about breaches. We always hear about hacking. We always hear about a lot of things in the cyberspace. But you, what is your understanding of cybersecurity? In the house today, I have my guest in here who is going to break it down for your consumption, for your understanding. So, welcome to the platform that is always ready to share knowledge from all sort of life. So, I just want to take my first commercial break, and right after, I want to say thank you for joining me today. And then you know it already. Get into the chat box, chat area. Let's feel the vibe. Let's know who is joining us today, where you are joining us from. Let us feel the energy in the chat area, and let's know that we're having people connecting to us all over the world. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Let me take my first commercial break, and right after that, I'll give you the guest for today. Well, we are back to the Power Impact Series. My name is Ambassador Benjamin Oswans, and if you are not joining me, get to the chat area, please. Let me know who is joining me and where you are joining me from. Yes, I can have someone here says what? Gabriel Asante says, wow, this is nice. Let's your comments keep coming. Let me know that I'm not here alone, because my guest is going to blow your mind today. He's going to share with us the Cybersecurity Act for Ghana, West Africa. Hey. We're going to know about the other countries who don't have it. Yeah, Ghana, we have it. So why not? We're going to blow our own trumpet. We're going to share it with people that don't have it. So we are about to kickstart, and I'm going to give you a little bit intro about my guest for today. Wow. All right. So today's guest is a deputy manager with the National Computer Emergency Response Team of Ghana, which is known as SET Ghana. Ultimately responsible for incident response and threat intelligence. Our guest has worked with the Cybersecurity Authority, CSA, since 2018, when it was a center till date, working in various capacities and teams. Our guest played a key role as a team member in a number of strategic initiatives and achievements in Ghana's cybersecurity development, including the development of Ghana's Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038, the review of Ghana's cybersecurity policy and strategy, development of Ghana's cybersecurity ecosystem, deployment of the cyber crime and cybersecurity incident reporting points of contact, among others, which has contributed significantly to Ghana's ranking from 10th in 2017 to 3rd in 2020 on the African continent on the ITU Cybersecurity Index. Our guest holds various certifications in cybersecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, the guest that we are talking about is this man that you are seeing on our screen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, just because I am ready, help me welcome onto the stage for the very first time, Mr. Isaac Socrates Mensah.
I don't know if I should be clapping for myself or.
Audience will clap for you. A very good evening, sir. How are you doing?
A very good evening to you, Ambassador Benjamin Owusman. So I'm doing very good.
Wow. Well, I didn't know there was a Socrates in your name.
Ah, that's the hidden code name.
That's a hidden code name. Yes, sir. I hope you are
Yeah,
doing well
yeah.
and then everything is going well.
I'm fine, thank you. Fine, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are welcome for the very first time to the Power Impact Series platform, and then where we share knowledge from all points of life, all industry, just to make sure that we empowering the next generation of African youth. And today you are here, and we know you're not going to do anything less than that. You're going to share with us what you have in store for us. Right. So we just want you to give us a little bit about yourself. I've read something, but you are here. We want to find out from you. Please share with us. Who is Isaac Socrates Mensah?
Ah, well. Like Isaac Socrates Mensah is just one small boy in a corner of the computer emergency response team.
Right.
Um, I find he's a guy that was privileged to join the Ghana cybersecurity, should I say, story right from the onset, right?
Wow.
And um I mean, has also had the opportunity to contribute to Ghana cybersecurity development. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to say much, but this is just me.
This is
This
just
is just
him. That's
uh,
just Isaac for you. Right. So how was the cybersecurity landscape or cybersecurity ecosystem of Ghana been? I mean, let's take it from when the pandemic got in up to now. How's the cybersecurity landscape of Ghana been, or how is it looking like?
sure. Thank you very much. I mean, I think I need to observe some protocols first. This is an ambassadorial platform, and there's a need for me to, I mean, do the needful before I answer your question.
Right.
So
That's okay.
first of all, I would want to say a very big thank you to you and also your team for this very opportunity to um, share with you what the Cybersecurity Act is all about and what it entails.
Right.
I believe it's a very important discussion that we are having here today, and your platform is a very good way in which we can reach out to the masses, because the Cybersecurity Act, though is very new, it's one of the most important legislations that you can have in the country, especially in this current dispensation of digitalization that we are in.
Right.
And I say this act is cuts across every aspect of life. You being an individual, a business, government entity, so far as you use the internet, this act is something that you should be interested in and should know what it contains.
Right.
Again, if you're a cybersecurity practitioner or a service provider, this act is something that once you are even thinking about operating in terms of cybersecurity in Ghana, or you are a professional who works within the cybersecurity ecosystem, this act is something that, should I say, today is Sunday, so should be your Bible, right? That you should have, right? So it's very important, and I want to say a very big thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk very much about it. Now,
Right.
now that all protocols have been observed, let me go on to the question.
Right.
Now, of course, cybersecurity has become very important in our space today. I think you made a very your statement that your question line in terms of since the COVID, right, our threat landscape, right. So Ghana's threat landscape has been, should I say, has not is not really does not really evolve as fast as we see it in other jurisdictions, right? It takes time and all that. But when COVID came in, actually, I mean, COVID brought about its negative effects. But one of the positive things that we saw during the COVID time was innovation with respect to digitalization and a lot of inclusion in the government agencies, businesses, private entities. I mean, individuals, everybody, one way or the other, was finding ways, right, in which we could continue with life, right? E-commerce platforms, banks were doing digital initiatives and all of that. And I mean, and government was, I mean, the main enabler in this particular thing, right? Government was leading digitalization efforts or has been leading digitalization efforts. And COVID was a time in which we saw a lot of people adopting onto these platforms, and a huge number of people, or we had a huge surge, right, in terms of
Right.
our even our internet adoption in with regards to COVID. And one way or the other, whilst we are adopting the internet, or we are, I mean, finding ways to get onto these digital platforms, it also comes with its negative effects. That is in terms of cybercrime, right? And once you were seeing an upward trajectory in terms of adoption of internet and then digitalization, it also went in line with cyber crime or cyber attacks. So, I mean, the threat landscape mainly has been dominated with, should I say, online fraud, right? And most of these, or what we have seen throughout from COVID time till now, it has mostly been social engineering attacks more than, should I say, technical attacks that you are seeing, right? So the attacks are mainly based on playing upon the intelligence of individuals to get their way, more than, I mean, hacking into systems. So that has been the what we've seen now. Yeah.
Right, right. So we're going to move in straight to our topic for today. So you ran us through a little bit about how this whole Cybersecurity Act came into being, how it started, and where we are now, where we are going with this cybersecurity, because it's going to tell us about all that we need to know about the Cybersecurity Act. But before that, we just want to clarify something here. The Cybersecurity Act 2020, then it goes on to
Yeah.
say Act 1038. That's where the confusion is.
Yeah.
What is the clarity here? What is the meaning of this whole thing? So over to you, sir.
Okay. I think it has a long name, right? And I think
Right.
when you go into the law field, I think they would understand this better, right? But the Cybersecurity Act, so the name is Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1038.
Right.
So Cybersecurity Act, the 2020 there, it's only telling you the year in which this act was passed, right? So the act was actually passed in November 2020. So the 2020 there is the year in which the act was passed. And then the 1038, um, that one out. If there are some lawyers on here, they can really tell me more about it, because 1038 actually came from the legal aspect. You understand?
Right.
So
Right.
1038, I think it's a naming convention within the our legal system. So every act has its own unique, should I say, number or
Right.
identifier. So maybe if you mention Act 843, maybe you might be referring to the Data Protections Act, or 772, maybe the Electronic Transactions Act and all of that. So yeah, that is where the 1038 comes from. It comes from the legal caucus.
Right, so our legal caucus, yeah. If you're watching, you got to just drop something in here. Let's understand it. 1030, and then we move away from there, and then we get to it. So, right now, should we pull up your slides? So we go. Oh, we're gonna wait to get
I'm ready when you are. I'm ever ready.
Okay, so the Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1038. So does it mean that prior to 2020, there aren't any kind of laws or act regarding cybersecurity in Ghana?
Not at all. Not at all. There have actually been acts in there, right? So one of the acts I think I made mention of earlier was the Data Protections Act, right? And then another act that was in there or has been also very dominant has to do with the Electronic Transactions Act,
Okay.
right? So these two acts have been in existence for a while, right? And they were the main anchors with respect to cybersecurity. So when you look at the Data Protections Act, that one has been more of protecting the privacy of individuals. And one way or the other, cybersecurity also plays a role in the, or data protection, yes, plays a role in cybersecurity. So that is one aspect of it. When you take the Electronic Transactions Act, that one also has that one is more of a legislation that criminalizes certain acts on the internet. You understand?
Oh, okay. Okay.
You
Okay.
understand? So these were the main acts with respect to cybersecurity, or they were. So the Data Protections Act is more of a cybercrime oriented act, right? It
Right.
criminalizes cybercrime, but
Right.
there was no act that really addressed cybersecurity. You understand?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So even when you look at the definition of cybersecurity, cybersecurity is more about the various processes, procedures, technology, policies, and things that you put in place to prevent cybercrime. You understand?
Right.
So that is
Right.
what cybersecurity is about. So we didn't have a cybersecurity centric act. You
Okay.
understand? Although we had the data protection and then the once you go into the act, you get to realize what it contains, and then you'll be able to just oppose it with these two acts that I've mentioned, and you get to know the difference between them.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. The Cybersecurity Act. What do we need to
Yeah.
know about it? Tell us something about it. Tell us more.
Yeah, there's a lot to tell, and I'm hoping that we can do all of this in 1 hour. But I mean, I'll definitely encourage users that right after this, you go into, I mean, download the act, read
Right.
more on it, you get more insight. But my role here is to, I mean, introduce you to it, and then I mean, make things clearer so that once after this, you go into the act, you get things brighter, right?
Right.
So, without much ado, let me just, I mean, flip through my slides and let's see what I can give you. I think before I started, I did make mention of the various initiatives, especially also with respect to government, right? Government has been preaching digitalization for a while now. And I mean, there are several digitalization initiatives that have been ongoing. And on this slide, I mean, you have a lot of e-government initiatives that have come up: the mobile money interoperability system, the birth and death system, e-parliament, e-justice, paperless sports, e-immigration. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list of things that government has done. The e-passport system, these days you don't have to queue and all that. You do all your things online and all that. So, I mean, Ghana.gov is the platform in which you can access most of these services. So, yes, government has taken the lead and is taking charge of digitalization
Right.
as we know it. I mean, the private sector on its own, I mean, took the lead some time back. I mean, you can't even mention, there's a whole list of them: e-banking services, fintechs, we are buying food online, we are ordering things online. I mean, all of that. I mean, you go to hospitals and I mean, you have folders. You don't have folders again. Main stacks packed up all in private hospitals. You just move from one room to the other, and then the information is being shared across. So, yes, these are some of the things that are ongoing. And then I thought about our internet adoption with respect to Ghana, right? And Ghana is currently ranked 44th globally in terms of internet adoption. So The latest ranking indicates that 50% of Ghana's population is actually online, right? So 50% of our population is online, and I mean that is quite impressive, right? And I mean the fact that it's 50%, I'm sure that by next year we should be heading around 60 to 75% already, because we are adopting at a very fast rate, right? Yeah.
Right.
So those are one of the things, and one of the very scary, should I say, statistics that have come up is our time that we spend on social media, right?
Okay.
So as you are seeing on the screen, as of January 2020, Ghana was ranked third globally, right? For in terms of time spent on social media. So we are very high consumers, right, of
We're
social
Ted.
media.
Ted.
Yes, third.
That's bringing all the social media, platforms together, not just a
Exactly.
single platform, but all
No,
of
no,
them.
no, no. Social media, yes. Ghana is ranked third in terms of our time that we spend on
With the
those
50%
platforms.
of the
So
population, we are ranked third.
I'm telling you, so you should be in for some very serious stats coming up very soon. So even with our 50% population, I mean, we are third, we are ranked third globally in terms of time spent. So it tells you that the 50% normally spend most of their time on social media. If it is being used for productive purposes or we are using it for other things, maybe going forward we'll have to look also into those things, and we
Exactly.
might have to make a decision on that, because it's
Exactly.
it's quite a scary statistic to watch,
Exactly.
right?
Because we wanted to find
Yeah.
out what purpose is it being used for. But
Exactly. Yes.
there
So
could be a lot of data
that
science
is
in
that
there.
is yeah, exactly. So that is something that I think going forward we might have to look into, right? But when it comes to in terms of our global internet usage, in terms of should I say sites that we visit, it's not looking too good, because I think when you take around the top 10 websites that Ghanaians visit, I think 3 or 4 of them are betting sites, right? I think another 2 or 3 of them have to do with pornographic sites, right? So
Wow.
if you look at this, about half of the sites that we are visiting has to do with betting and pornography. So I mean, we are not treading quite well when it comes to our usage of the internet, and it's something that we need to really take a serious look at, right? So that was just by the way. Let me go back into my slides, and I mean some various reports from very reputable organizations that have come up with respect to cybersecurity. Right, I'm just drawing your attention to things that are coming up before I come into the act. So when you look at the Global Risk Report 2020, right, it says cybersecurity threats, malware and ransomware attacks increased by 538% and then 435% respectively in 2020. So in 2020, I mean, ransomware attacks grew up by 435%. That is way serious, right? Looking at the way ransomware attacks are and how its effects are, it's quite a crazy statistic, right? And
Right.
again, the World Economic Forum same report says that cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, right, is rated fifth top risk in 2020. So, I mean, critical infrastructure is something that I'll come in to define later in my presentation for you to understand what they are. But I mean, it's also one of the very critical. I mean, there are things that a nation runs on, right?
Right.
And it's if cyber crime or cyber attacks is the fifth risk in there, it's quite scary, and it's something that we should look at. When it comes to even the private sector, cyber attacks is, I mean, number 2 of top business risk of highest concern globally. So when you
Right.
take even the private sector, the various big institutions and big industries that you see or you hear of, they are, I mean, the top risk. The second most that is of most concern to them is cyber attacks, right? So it tells you the gravity or the issue that we are talking about. Cyber attacks is becoming one of the major global concerns in the world globally. So it's something that we should look at. When it comes to Ghana, I mean, the impact of cyber attacks on our nation, these are some of the impacts that we could be looking at, right? So national reputation is one of them. So you could have people in Ghana, right, attacking various infrastructure in other jurisdictions, and it could have a bad reputation on us as a country, right? Some these days, I mean, we have been, I mean, in the space for a while, and when it comes to fraud and scams and all of that, I mean, there are certain countries that have been attached to this kind of attacks as being known for. You understand, and it brings a huge reputational risk to the country. Personal data is one of the things that you could also be looking at as the impact. So once an attack happens, my data, your data, and all of us, our data could be out there and could be used for identity theft and all kinds of attacks globally. National security concerns are something that you can't take out of the equation, right? And I mean, threats to e-commerce. I mean, these days we are promoting the use of various platforms, e-commerce being one of them. And if cyber attacks are going to impact some of these things, it's not going to allow people to, I mean, use digitalization or great initiatives that are coming up. So these are just a few, and of course, critical infrastructure. Once an attack hits a critical infrastructure, I mean, Ghana, we could go down, right? As other count as we've seen in other jurisdictions. So, I mean, these are some of the national impacts to this. So that brings me to the question: why the Cybersecurity Act, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, government had been doing quite a lot in terms of initiatives. I mean, the risks that I've pointed out to you, there was a lot going on within the space and all of that, and there was a need for an act, right, that is going to a legal framework, right, that is going to, I mean, give the necessary reference for the various things that will be done with respect to cybersecurity, right. That was one of the various reasons why there was a need for there to be established an act. Once I go into the act, you get to understand why it is so. So, I mean, you asked this question earlier, and then I mentioned it out to you that there were two main acts: the Data Protections Act and then the Electronic Transactions Act, right? That were being used earlier, and then there was a need for us to have a cybersecurity oriented legislation. So, this Data Protections Act was focusing on data privacy and all of that. Electronic Transactions Act was criminalizing certain actions in the online space, right? But there was a need for us to have an act that was, I mean, cyber-centric in nature, right? That was focused on cybersecurity. These are some gaps that were identified over the years before the act came into being. So the lack of a policy and strategy, so weak governance was one of the things that we were having in the space that the act was coming to address. A framework for cybersecurity development was also very necessary, so that we'll have a focus, right, in terms of our cybersecurity efforts, right? Lack of cybersecurity standardization, I mean, inadequate or weak cybercrime or cybersecurity legislations were also part of this. Low cybersecurity awareness was one of the huge risks that we were facing. Lack of incident response. So once an incident happened, what do you do? Those were some of the, and many more of the things, that the gaps that were identified that brought about the act. So these are the main anchors of Ghana's cybersecurity development. The review, I mean, we had a policy and strategy in place, but I mean, it had outlived its time. So we had to review our national policy and strategy on cybersecurity. That is actually something that has been done, and I mean, has gone into the right quarters for it to be finally approved for us to use. I mean, the Cybersecurity Act is one of them. And of course, the operational body in terms of cybersecurity, the Cybersecurity Authority. So these are the main anchors of Ghana's cybersecurity development, right? So now I come into the main flesh of our, or the business of the day, that has to do with the Cybersecurity Act, what it contains, right? What is really in the act. So when you take just the slide, it tells you all that is in the act, right? from section 2 to section 100 of the Act. This is a main snapshot, right, of the Act. When you see it, what does it do or what it talks about? So section 2 to 4 of the Act talks about the establishment of the Cybersecurity Authority, what the authority is coming to do, its main function and its objectives, right? Sections 5 to 8 talks about the governance of the authority, who the board and all of that, right, of the authority. The section 29 to 34 is about the cybersecurity fund. 35 to 40 is about the protection of critical information infrastructure. 41 to 46 is about the our national sectoral computer emergency response team. So once an incident happens, what do we do? 41 to 46 talks about those ones. 47 to 48 talks about the reporting of cybersecurity incidents. 49 to 56, licensing of cybersecurity service providers. 57 to 58, accreditation of various professionals within the authority, within the cyberspace, right? And then we talk about 59 to 61, standards and enforcement. 62 to 68, a very interesting one in the protection of children and online sexual offenses online. So when you even take a look at the Act, right, it's all about protecting. It's not really about criminalizing because certain offenses, because the Electronic Transactions Act has catered for those ones. However, the Electronic Transactions Act did not criminalize in terms of or protect children online, right? Or criminalize, should I say, sexual offenses. Okay, so there was a need for us to have it in this particular act to address that need. Okay, so that is one of the various highlights of the Act. 69 to 76, the investigatory powers and all that. So in my presentation, I'll touch on very salient points within the Act. Like I said, the time is not enough for us to exhaust everything in there, but what users really need to, or our audience need to be really equipped with or know about, to guard themselves on, you understand, or to protect themselves on. So this is the main highlight of the Act, right?
So how many sections? How many sections do we have in the Act?
Yeah, I think it has about 100 sections in there.
Wow. Right. Okay.
Yeah. It has 100 sections in there. So it's quite a bulky, should I say, legislation. Not too bulky, but it contains quite a lot of juice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So right about now, I want to just give a little bit of shout out to those who are joining us online. So I have in here Kofi what is it? The Kulungu. Right. Is it great to know?
Right.
I think when you were trying to talk about the figures and then the percentages, said that's great to know. And then he's saying that phone and betting, Amagana. We'll come back to that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us now, you are joining the Power Impact series, and we are having here with us Mr. Isaac Socrates Mensah from the Cybersecurity Authority, briefing us or letting us know more about the Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038, how it all came about, why the naming convention, and then what it contains and what you need to know about this act. So if you're joining us, kindly share the page so that other people can also be abreast with this act for us. So thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we are now going into the substance of the Act, and just a few highlighters in terms of what some sections of the Act contains, right? So section 2 to 4 talks about the establishment of the Cybersecurity Authority. So the authority was, established. So the Act was passed in November 2020, and then the authority was established in October 2021, right? So I must say that it's still our birthday. October 1st was when the authority was launched last year. So we are just a year old.
A happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't mean that it's just a year old actually, because it started from somewhere before it became an authority, right?
Right.
So in 2017 it was a secretariat, and then it became the National Cybersecurity Center, right? So
Okay.
it operated as a center for a while before. Now that we had the backing, right, of the act, now we could establish an authority with some, real powers in order to carry out the initiatives that are contained, or the various provisions in the act, right?
Right.
So that was how come the authority came into being. So 2 to 4 talks about the establishment of the authority, the object of the authority, and the function of the authority, right? Yeah, so the Cybersecurity Act, is actually to regulate cyber. So the authority, right? The main mandate of the authority is to regulate cybersecurity activities in the country, right? To
Okay.
promote the development of cybersecurity in the country, and to provide for related matters, right?
Right.
So this is just like I mentioned earlier. This is what the authority has been established to do. So it also includes, just like I mentioned, it's officially started operation in 2021. It was before then under the Ministry of Communications. It's still under the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, of course, and that is how come the authority came into being. So this is the main mandate of the authority, right, in regards to cybersecurity. So the authority is mainly mandated for the protection of critical information infrastructure, right? It's also
Right.
responsible for capacity building and awareness creation. Its mandate also covers the protection of children online,
Right.
standards and enforcement with respect to cybersecurity, incident response also in the cybersecurity licensing, accreditation, of course, research and development, and also for international cooperation. International cooperation is also one of the most important components or mandates um, of the authority, because you agree with me that the internet does not belong to Ghana alone, right?
Right.
The
Right.
internet crosses borders and all that, and so is cybercrime and
Right.
also cybersecurity. So there is a need for us, or the government, in terms of building various cooperation internationally, right? For
Right.
us to, protect our space well. So international cooperation is very necessary. I'll come to that also in the presentation.
Right.
I wouldn't want to bore you too much when it comes to the functions of the authority. It's a very we have a very big mandate. The functions authority is very big. We are,
Right.
responsible for advising government and public institutions with respect to cybersecurity. We also have the responsibility to monitor cybersecurity threats within and outside the country with respect to us. Identify and also regulate critical information infrastructure owners, protect children online. It's create awareness and deploy various strategies in terms of research with respect to our cybersecurity, right? We collaborate with various agencies. So when you even look at Section 13 of the Act, there's something in there that we call the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, right? This committee is made up of 13 government agencies, right? That one way or the other have a mandate on cybersecurity, right? So before the authority even came to being, there were various agencies that were responsible for cybersecurity and cybercrime, right? Take the cybercrime department of the CID, has some mandate on in terms of cybersecurity. Take Yoko, right? Take the National Communications Authority. They all have various mandates with regards to cybersecurity, and about 17 institutions fall in there, and we all come together as part of cybersecurity to think about, because we all have various roles to play, and it's cybersecurity is cross-sectoral in nature. So we need various arms in order to do this. So I mean, Section 13 of the Act makes justice to that. So in terms of collaboration, both in country and also uh, um, externally, is also in there. Promote cybersecurity in the country and all that. So we have quite a lot of functions with respect to cybersecurity. like I mentioned earlier, Section 35 to 40 talks about the protection of critical information infrastructure, right? Before I even go into it, someone may ask, what is critical information infrastructure?
Right.
So this is a brief definition of it. So it constitutes assets, I mean, real or virtual, network systems, processes, information, and functions that are vital to the nation, such that their incapacity or distraction, right, would have a devastating impact on national security, economic and social well-being of citizens, right?
Okay.
So anything that falls within this, anything that should a cyber attack, or should we have a cyber attack on such an infrastructure, would affect our national security, will affect our social, economic and social well-being. We consider it as a critical information infrastructure, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, various systems, networks that could be affected, I mean, by a cyber attack is something that could have any of these effects on the nation, is what we consider as a critical information infrastructure. So, even to give you more insight on that, away from the act, I mean, when you go back, it says that the minister, on the advice of the authority, right, may designate a computer system or network as a critical information infrastructure if the minister considers the computer system or computer network is essential, right, for national security or economic and social well-being. So based on this particular section, right, on the minister responsible for cybersecurity, that's the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, right, has designated 13 sectors, right,
Okay.
as critical information infrastructure sectors. Within these sectors, right, there are 189 institutions, right, that
Okay.
have been identified, right, as critical
Right.
information infrastructure. So these institutions have various systems in there that, should an attack happen on them, would affect us as a country,
Great.
right?
Right.
So that is what Section 35 does. So that Section 35 to 40 is all about the protection of these kind of systems, right? So when the authority was being launched on the 1st of October 2021, a directive was launched also on that day. So the directive is more of a cybersecurity directive for these critical information infrastructure owners. The directive is all about putting in place various measures that is going to protect these infrastructure, right? So that directive has already been launched, and the authority is already engaging these institutions through their points of contact to ensure that they all are compliant to those directives, so that we can have some form of protection around these systems that I am talking about, right? So
Okay. So I
I'll
think
just
before,
so like
yeah, right,
yeah
right, right, right. I think I was just getting
yeah
a question about the designated sectors, and then I think that's what you're about doing. So
sectors.
I'll
Yeah,
just keep.
exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, 13 sectors were designated, and as you can see on the screen or in the PowerPoint presentation, this is the various sectors that have been designated, right? So, manufacturing, mining, education, national security and intelligence. We have ICT, banking and finance, energy, water, transport, health, emergency services, government, and also food and agriculture. So these are the main 13 sectors, right, that have
Wow.
been designated as critical for our economic and social well-being, including our national security. So 189 institutions have been identified under these and classified under these 13 sectors, and we are engaging them in terms
Wow.
of protecting our infrastructure, right?
So if I
And
may
then,
ask, what exactly? So what
sure,
exactly is this
yeah,
critical infrastructure doing,
yeah,
or what are they to do? What's the authorities' mandate span like on this sector? So let's take
yeah,
like maybe health or transport. What is the authorities' mandate on this sector when it
yeah.
comes to?
So I think exactly. So I think I like I mentioned earlier, um, there are various institutions within these sectors, right,
Yeah.
that have been identified. And within the institutions, right, there are some systems, right, that are running in those institutions that should an attack happen on them could disturb us as a nation, right? So what
Okay.
the authority is doing currently is ensuring that the necessary measures, right,
Right.
have been put in place, right, to protect
Okay. Okay.
these systems that we are talking about, right? So when you go into the act, for instance, Section 36 of the act mandates that all these institutions that have been identified register their various systems within them, right? You
Okay.
understand?
Okay.
Yes, so that is what we are doing currently. So we are working with these various institutions that have been identified through the points of contact that have been nominated for them to
Okay.
register the systems that are running or the critical systems that are running in there, right?
Okay.
So that the authority is aware about those systems and how
Okay.
best we can work with these institutions to protect these systems that we are talking about, right?
Sure. But currently, there's no
Yes.
time
So,
frame to that.
yes. So, like I mentioned, there was a directive that was launched a year ago, right,
Okay.
for all these various institutions to comply with, right?
Right.
So these directives are more of they are just baseline cybersecurity directives that they are supposed to have in place for the
Okay.
protection of these systems that have been identified. So a year was given, right, for
Right.
all of these institutions to comply with. So we've been working with these institutions till now, and
Right.
I think some extensions have been given so that we can have all these institutions comply with these ones. So yes, a time frame is in there. I think a year was given. However,
Right.
some extensions have been given so that we can have everybody on board, so that we can protect these systems in there.
That's good.
Yeah. So I think I would go back to my slide
Exactly.
in terms of section 41 to 46, right,
Right.
of the Act talks about the establishment of national and sectoral computer emergency response teams, right? So when you look at section 35 to 40, it is talking about protecting these ones. So they are more of proactive measures, right?
Yeah.
So things that we should put in place so that these systems are not attacked, right?
Okay.
But the question is, there's nothing like 100% security, right?
Right.
There is definitely a flaw somewhere that I mean could be hacked or could be taken advantage of.
Hmm.
But the question now is, when the attack happens, what should we do? You
Okay.
understand? So 30, 40, 41 to 46, I mean, answers this question, right? So we talk about the computer emergency response teams. So the main mandate of the computer emergency response teams is to uh, 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 purposely responsible for reacting to cybersecurity incidents when they happen, right? So we respond to cybersecurity incidents. So the cybersecurity authority, there's a unit within the cybersecurity authority known as the National Computer Emergency Response Team that has already been established, right? And it is mainly responsible for responding to cybersecurity incidents. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Now, when you look at the sectoral computer emergency response teams, now these are computer emergency response teams that have been established at the sector level.
Okay.
Okay. So when you take, for instance, the financial sector, there is a computer emergency response team purposely for that, and it sits with the regulator of that space. That is the Bank of Ghana. Okay,
Okay.
has the computer emergency response team that is for the financial sector. There's also one for the telecommunications sector, right? That is for that sits within the National Communications Authority, right? There's also another one for the government sector that
Right.
sits with the National Information Technology Agency. So when
Right.
you look at this, at the sector level, these computer emergency response teams are being established, right? So
Right.
that they handle incidents at the sector level. Once the incidents go beyond them, now they escalate to the national level for response, right?
Right.
So this is the kind of architecture that we are operating.
Right.
So once even an incident is also reported at the national level, and even has to do with the communication sector, the national level works with the sectoral computer emergency response team at the sectoral level, right, to mitigate the incident that is reported in there. Right. So 41 to 46 talks about the functions of the national set, the responsibility of the authority relating to it, the sectoral computer emergency response team, incident monitoring and response system, and also an early warning system in that regard. So the things that I mentioned, this is the ecosystem that I am trying to talk about, right? So this is the plan for our national set development, right?
Okay.
So we are going to establish at the various sector level. So even if you look at this particular ecosystem, you realize that at the various sector level. So even if you look at this particular ecosystem, you realize that at the various sector level. So even if you look at this particular yeah, sorry, I think I was having some feedback.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah. So when you look at this, you realize that even some of the sectors that were designated as critical information infrastructure fall in this particular architecture, right?
Right.
So the ones on my left, which should be on your right, that is the ones colored in the light green or blue, the government sector set, the telecommunications sector set, the banking and financial sector set, and the national security set have already been established, right? We are working with the sectors on the other side, right, to ensure that all these ones have also been set up, right? So this is with respect to our computer emergency response team, what is happening in there. Yes, when it comes to incident reporting, 47 to 48 of the Act also talks about incident reporting. So I'll go into the various points of contact that have been established so that people can report incidents to the Cybersecurity Authority, right? So, and also the various critical information infrastructure owners also have a responsibility to report incidents to the Cybersecurity Authority, right? So that we get to know what is happening within the space, right? So once your institution is designated as a critical information infrastructure, you're a critical information infrastructure owner. Once you fall victim to an incident, you are mandated to report to the Cybersecurity Authority. The main idea in mind is that, take for instance the banking sector. If one bank is hit, right, and then the bank reports it, what is going to happen is that the national set is going to work with the sectoral set and then ensure that the other banks put in place the necessary measures so that they are also not hit. Because the likelihood of them being hit or one bank after one bank has been hit is very high, right? So this is something that we are also looking at also doing. I mean, 62 to 66 of the Act, I mean, one of the main provisions, like I mentioned earlier, talks about the protection of children. Children are, should I say, the most vulnerable users when it comes to the internet space because it's new to them. They are not able to take the right decisions on there, and there's a need for us to have certain, protective measures, right, that protect children online. So 62, like for instance, talks about the indecent image and photograph of a child. So there, in such a place, it talks about that even if you have an indecent image of a child, right, even stored on your device, it is criminal. Right.
Okay. I think let's come in with our questions now. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is where we want to hit it raw from. On section 62 to 66. Even when you have the picture of a child, I mean,
an indecent picture of
a child on your device,
yes,
it is criminal.
Exactly.
Despite the child being your own child.
Yes. And if you just permit me just a minute, just to mention some of the just about 62, right? So 62, the Act says that a person shall not, right, take or permit to be taken an indecent image or photograph of a child, right, produce or procure an indecent image or photograph of a child for the purposes of the publication of the indecent image through a computer system, right? Another one is that a person shall not publish, stream, okay? The person shall not publish, stream an indecent image or photograph of a child through a computer system or an electronic device. The D talks about a person shall not possess an indecent image or photograph of a child in a computer system or on a computer or electronic storage medium. So that is what I was talking about. If you have such an image or a video of that in possession, that is, even if it is stored on your device, it makes it criminal, right? And then look at the sanctions in there. A person who contravenes these sections commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 2,500 penalty units, or not more than 5,000 penalty units, or a term of imprisonment, right, of not less than 5 years and not more than 10 years or both. So if such an image is found even on your device, you could be looking at 5 to 10 years in prison.
All right. So, right. With this
Exactly.
with this current states of social media platforms. So let's say I'm in a WhatsApp group and someone posts this or posts this kind of image, posts an image of a child. I mean, an indecent picture or video of a child on the group. And since I'm part of this group, it downloads automatically onto my device. In this case, how does the law, caps me into this this act that you just read, or this section that you just read?
Yes, the law states it clearly, right, that you have it in your possession as your responsibility. Once you come in contact with such an image, your responsibility first of all is to report it, right? That is your first responsibility, is to report that image. Once you don't report, and then it happens that your device comes into contact with any person or comes into an authority, right, and then it is found, I mean, you are in breach of this particular section of the act.
Right.
You understand? So the question is, once you received it, it is your responsibility, first of all, to report this particular image, right? Because we are protecting children in this case. You see, the practice has been that once you even go and chance upon children involved in certain indecent acts, the first thing that a citizen, instead of stopping or advising the children, the first thing we do is rather take videos or record whatever is happening, and rather the first thing we can think about is to share them. And protecting these children is very necessary, because once some of these images find themselves in the internet space, it affects the children for the rest of their life. Remember, the internet never forgets.
Exactly.
And once these children grow, these images or these videos can easily come back to bite them. And that is what we are trying to look at, or we are trying to protect.
And I think most often, I mean, when these images make their way onto the mainstream, well, instantly it might not be used, but then it can be used as cyberbullying for these kids or these children.
Exactly.
Someone picks it up and then it goes, and then it's being used as damage. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any image or any video of that sort on your device, this is a good time for you to do the needful, because you might not know when you'll find yourself in the grace of the law, and this will be an evidential material. You might have downloaded it, someone might have sent it to you in the WhatsApp group that you are part of, and it downloads onto your device. It becomes it's in your possession, so it's for you, it's your property.
Exactly.
This is critical. That needs to be looked
at. And then if I should move on to 63, dealing with children for the purposes of sexual abuse. So if you are using a computer or online service, internet service, to interact with a child based on for sexual purposes, right? It also criminalizes it, right? So if you are seducing, if you are grooming a child, you're enticing a child, right? With sexual intent in mind, right? The act also criminalizes this particular offense, right?
Right.
And if you are found culpable of this, you are looking between 5 to 15 years imprisonment,
Wow.
right? And then one thing that I would also want to really stress on is on the 64, aiding and abetting of children. So, like you mentioned, you only received it on a WhatsApp group, right?
Yeah.
And you are
Yeah.
also sharing it to another person. That
Okay.
means you fall
Okay.
in this category. You are aiding and abetting in it.
Right. You are
Exactly.
part of it. So you
So
are part of the syndicate. Right.
exactly. And this is a very big caution also to our various bloggers, right?
Right.
Who
Right.
pick up these things and want to make money out of it.
Okay.
Once you
Okay.
start some of these things and then you put some of these images or videos in there, you are aiding and abetting, right? And you could also be found culpable of this particular thing. And that one also, you are looking between 5 to 15 years imprisonment if you are caught in this particular act.
Wow. So it's
Exactly.
not just the person who posted it and then you got the image. So you also picking that image and making a story
Yes,
around it. You are also culpable for this same offense.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You're culpable for it. You're culpable for it. And
Wow.
then, I mean, when you go to 65, cyber stalking a child, you're on the internet and all you're doing is you are looking into a child, right, for sexual purposes,
Okay.
right? You are I mean, you are trying to cyber stalk a child. You are looking for where the child lives, what the child does, yeah, almost everything about the child, you are interested in it. It is
Okay.
also an offense under this particular act, right?
Okay.
So that is also, you are using an internet or a computer device to do this particular thing. It is also criminal under this particular act. Also, 66 talks about sexual extortion, where we have people after gaining, images of certain people, right? And this one is not only about children, right? It's also about, adults and stuff because it is ongoing. So people are blackmailing people because they have received or they have in possession the nude images or sexual explicit images of these people, right? And
Okay.
they are
Okay.
using that to
Okay.
blackmail
Okay.
them or extort. Some of them are sexually extorting things from them. So they want to have their way with you before they will delete some of these ones. It's also criminal under this particular act. And you are other one you are looking at between 10 years to 25 years imprisonment,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So I think this particular section has been used in prosecuting someone not long ago. I think to 15 years imprisonment
Okay.
because I think the lady sent the person was a phone repairer actually, and
Okay.
then sorry, the lady sent her device for fixing or for him to work on, and then he came across these various pictures and videos of the person, and
Okay.
then took them, made copies of them, and then gave back the phone to the owner, and later turned around and tried to blackmail the lady with regards to
Wow.
using those images. And that person was arrested and, I mean, has been sent into prison, right? Has been prosecuted to, I think he was given 15 years imprisonment, and that was
Wow.
because, it was the first time we were using that act. Else you might have seen about the maximum sentence, which is 25. So a
Wow.
caution to all of us out
25.
there. Yes, that is the maximum. That is the maximum sentence in there. So he could have been looking at 25, but from the judgment read, the judge was like, "Oh, this is the first time we are using it, so you will give you
Okay.
15, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others." So maybe
Wow.
if someone out there is unlucky, the person might be looking at 25 years
25.
imprisonment.
Wow. just
Yeah,
just using someone's illicit
yeah,
pictures or videos against the
Yeah.
person, I mean, using it to extort from the person, it's another
Yeah.
crime which is captured in
Exactly.
this act.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly. So once
mm,
that comes into it, I mean, you are doing something against the law. And
right,
if the law finds its grips on you, it will deal with you per what is outlined in this particular act. I
right,
mean, maybe I'll just have to go on to
right.
67 to 68. I think our time is far closing up
Yes,
on us.
yeah,
So
it's really up. But then I
67 to
think these points
68,
that
I
you're
mean,
making are really important.
yeah,
So we will just take some few
yeah,
minutes
yeah.
and then finish it up. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, 67 to 68 also talks about other online sexual offenses, right?
Right,
So, away from children, non consensual sharing of intimate images, right? And
right,
then the threat to distribute prohibited intimate images or virtual recordings. So, someone
okay,
may ask, what is non consensual sharing of intimate images? A
right,
classical example is maybe you were in a relationship with somebody, right? And this is something that is ongoing a lot, right?
right,
You
right,
are you are in a relationship with somebody, um, and then once the relationship was going well or was going good, right? You once the relationship was going good, you agreed, right, to take certain um, sexual images of yourself, right, be
right,
it picture or video, right,
right,
and then you share it or you had it amongst yourself.
right,
Now the relationship goes south, and then you are no more together, and then one party decides to share this particular images that you took whilst once you guys were good and were together, right?
right.
Or one person tries to threaten you, right, to share this particular image.
Right.
This act actually criminalizes this particular
Act
action of
or
yours,
action.
right? And
Right.
then, yes, with that, you could be looking into an imprisonment of about 1 to 3 years, right? Imprisonment. You
Wow.
understand? So even this one, maybe it's something that is of major concern, and it's growing a lot. So maybe if you could just give me a minute, just
Right.
to, I mean, read what it really says in the act, because
Right.
what the act really says is quite serious, right?
Right.
So when you look at 67:1, right, it says a person shall not, with intent to, cause serious emotional distress. So even if you're causing emotional distress, right, to the person by doing this, it's criminal.
Wow.
Intentionally distribute or intentionally cause another person to distribute the intimate image or prohibited visual recording of another identified person without the consent of the person, right,
Okay.
depicted in the intimate image, in
Okay.
respect of which there was a reasonable expectation of privacy, both at the time of the creation of the image or visual recording at the time of the offense was committed, right? So a person who contravenes this, right, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a term of imprisonment of not more than 1 year and not more than 3 years. So between 1 and 3 years, you are
Yes. Right.
going, yeah, yes. So, and then the 68, which talks about the threat to distribute, right? That one,
Right.
it is not even about if you have distributed it. Once you even
Threaten to do it.
threaten, exactly, you have committed a crime, right? So it says, a person shall not threaten another person to distribute a prohibited image or visual recording of that person in a
Wow.
way that would cause that person distress, reasonably arising in all the circumstances that the threat is made in a way
Right.
that will cause the person, other person, fear, right? So
Okay.
once you even threaten, right, you've not shared it, you just threaten one another person that you are going to distribute this thing. You are
Right.
looking at imprisonment of, I mean, between 1 and 3 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have it in your
So
possession, and then you just get to the press that, hey, you know what? I have these videos of yours with me,
yeah,
and if you don't get me this and that, I am going to post this thing. That threat
yeah,
alone. It's an offense.
Exactly.
Wow.
It is an offense. So I mean, this is something that I really want us to highlight because it's quite serious, and
Very,
a lot
very,
of people, we are receiving quite a lot of incidents, and
very.
once it goes on, I mean, once you are found out, the law will deal with you seriously,
Right.
right? So I mean, going on from there, I mean, this is one of the main highlights that I think I should also stress on or talk about before we go away.
Right.
So this is the incident reporting point of contact, right?
Okay.
So this
Okay.
was established actually in 2018 by the minister responsible for cybersecurity. So these are various points of contact through which one can reach out to the cybersecurity authority for
Okay.
once they have an incident, right? Or even if it is not an incident, you are seeing something online that you need some form of advice, or
Okay.
you are engaging in something that you really want to do some form of due diligence, right? You
Right.
can run it by the authority through these
Okay.
points of contact. So you have an email, report@csa.gov.gh. I
Right.
mean, like I mentioned, Ghana is a heavy user of social media, so we can't have points of contact without having a social media presence in there. So a WhatsApp line also in there,
Sure.
050-160-3111, and then you can also reach out to the cybersecurity authority. A
Yes.
call and SMS feature, just short
Mm.
code 292, and then you
Mhm.
can reach out to the cybersecurity authority. An
Right.
online form also, when you go to the CSA website, you are able to reach out to the cybersecurity authority, and also a mobile application that you can reach the cybersecurity on. So these points of contact are also in there for you to make use of once you are even a business, an individual, a child. I mean, wherever you are, I mean, these are for the public, for each and
Right.
every person, each any citizen to report incidents to the cybersecurity authority for us to, I mean, put in ensure that the right thing is done, and also, I mean, heed to the calls that people come in with. Yeah. So
Right.
at this point, maybe I would want to bring my presentation to a halt so that if there are any questions and comments and all of that, yeah, I'll be very happy to, I mean, take them, and then we can
Wow.
proceed. Yeah.
Well, on this section, if I haven't or you have any question, Mr. Isaac Socrates Mensah is ready to take them. But I think the comments I'm getting here are not questions, but they are kind of points of insightfulness and revelation to them. So the questions I'm not sure are
Exactly.
going to come now, because for now it's
Yeah.
more or less like an eye opener. You've really dealt with this topic,
Exactly.
and then you've really opened our eyes to some of these things that, hey, we're just doing them for doing sake. And I mean, one of the things that strike me most is this group platforms that you find yourself on, and then your device kind of harvests this kind of um, pictures or videos, and then you too, for the fun of it, kind of proceed in sending it across, and we didn't know it is all kind of, I mean, it's all an offense because someone just picks a child online and probably the video of someone making fun of it by sharing it unknowingly, knowing that we are abetting crime. So for the comments in here, I don't think there are questions now. Just
Yeah.
revelation. Yeah. Let me just give
Yeah.
shout out to some people online here that have just joined us. I have been here. Yeah, Kofi is doing it again. Kofi is so surprised about most of the things that you just said. He's wondering where has this thing been, and then he was online all this time. How about my other Prince Kojo Hilton said, "This is great. I'm sharing it now so that other people can also listen and watch." Bob Biden said, "Hey, super revelation." I'm sure he's shocked. He said, "Wow, I have a full a watch report code has some great insight." So these are the kind of comments that are coming, and it's an
Yeah.
eye opener. It's an eye opener.
Yeah.
Most people were not
Yeah.
aware of this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Why? This is serious.
Exactly.
This is serious, and
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
it is
I
an eye
mean,
opener.
and I think, yeah, yeah. I think that is the main motive of this a particular discussion, right? To
Right.
let people get to know, right, that
Right.
this is something that is there. It's a tool that it's available for them to use once they find themselves as victims. You find yourself as, I mean, so it's a tool out there that you can use, and I mean, your platform is one of the ways in which we can let people get to know about this, right? Because and another thing too is that yes, as a victim and also as a perpetrator, once you find yourself involved in any of these, maybe it's high time through this you get to know that it is an offense, and
Right.
if you are engaged in them, you should stop.
Right.
You understand? Because if the law should find you, you seriously be in deep waters, right? So yes, it's for the victim and also for the perpetrator. And like we always say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. You can't say I didn't know. You understand? Once you come into the lamplight, or the authority gets you on this, I mean, you find yourself in serious trouble. So of course, it is very necessary for us to, I mean, talk about it, ensure that we make most noise out of it, so that people will be able to, I mean, hear it and also work with it. Yeah. So I mean, your platform is one of the great opportunities for us to share this very important tool. I call it a tool in the Bible as well. So yes, it's very important.
It's really packed, and it is a tool. It's actually a kit, a toolkit that
I
should be
tell
used.
you.
Because it's got
Yeah,
a lot. It's got a lot of things in it, and so right. So let's just take our last commercial break, and then right after that, we're just going to take any question that's here or any other suggestions, and then you give us your last words, and then we go off today's episode. So stick around, don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
sure.
Need a spark to kickstart your innovation? Looking for thought and talks to get things moving? Wondering how to navigate a future full of change and uncertainty? With the eye-opening stories of digital disruption, extreme customer centricity, organizational innovation, and global shift, our collective of speakers, MCs, and moderators will shift your perspective. Meet our speakers. For booking and interviews, contact us on 0246 054092 or send us a mail info.accessnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on all social media channels at AccessNet Global, African Seasoned Speakers Network, influencing the next generation of Africans.
Right, influencing the next generation of Africans. And thank you so much for joining this episode. It has been a wonderful time, and I think Mr. Isaac Socrates will definitely come back again, and then we're going to take them one after. We're going to take each session, and then we're going to really dive deeper into it. Because today we came to scratch the surface of the whole act. We'll definitely go into in depth of each session, and I mean that is good. Right. So where can people get the act? Where can the act be gotten by people to have a feasting on it, to understand it, read it, and then make all their questions and whatever they want to find out about this? Where can people get it from?
Yeah. I mean, the act you can easily download a PDF copy of the act on our website. That's csa.gov.gh. Once you go in there, you are able to get a copy of the act. And if you are not, should I say, you don't like reading online, and you would want, let's say, a hard copy of the act itself, maybe you can go to the assembly press, and then you can get a copy of the act as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You can
Right.
get them in there. Yeah.
Right, you can get a copy from the assembly players if you just want to get a hard copy, because hey, if you are scared of going online to download it online and you want to get a hard copy, go to assembly press and then get a hard copy, or you can get a PDF from the Cybersecurity Authority website, where you can have it with you on your device. Downloading that on your device is not an offense.
Of course not.
So don't be scared. Don't be scared to download that onto your device. That is not an offense. So you can freely download it onto your device, and then you can just read and have more information about it. Right. So what we always do about it now is about to drop. The hashtag for today is about to drop. The hashtag for today. That's right. That's right. All right. So today's hashtag for today, here it goes. That's right. We can't just go without having it right now. So the hashtag for today is ACT 2020. That is our hashtag for today's episode. Hashtag ACT 2020, so that it brings to mind what the ACT stands for and what is in the ACT. So once you hit on ACT 2020, you're going to know that that's a hashtag for today's episode. So right about now, Mr. Isaac, what are your final words for us concerning the ACT and what we need to know about ACT 2020, ACT 1038?
Yeah. So my words for my final words would be, I would encourage each and every one of us to do well to get a copy of the Act, study it, get to know its provisions, and it'll go a long way to help or assist us. Even if you are, I know for sure that you have various cybersecurity practitioners, you have service providers and all these people in here. Once you are even thinking about you have an international presence. So once you're even thinking of even coming down to establish, should I say, a cybersecurity institution, or even you are coming down to practice cybersecurity, I think one of the go-to things that you should be looking at is the Cybersecurity Act, because it has quite a lot of provisions that you should be aware of. Once you use the internet, right? You go onto the internet for various things, you do various things on the internet. Cybersecurity Act is something that you have to be aware of as a tool, right, to guard yourself. Okay, that is what legislation is meant for. And of course, the point of contact is something that I always want to end on, because it's one of the best places to get the necessary guidance once you are online, right? So once you need certain information, you are not sure about something you are seeing online and all of that, it is the go-to place. So to just 292 is one of the things that you should be looking at. And last but not the least, the CSA social media handles are, you can Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, CSA Ghana, on all platforms. You can get there, and once a while, we mostly post a lot of advisories. We post things that you should do, things you shouldn't do, how to protect yourself in this space and all of that. So I think these are my last words.
Right. These are his last words, and that is our guest for today, Mr. Isaac Socrates Mensah from the Cybersecurity Authority, sharing with us wisdom nuggets and insightful pieces and sections from the Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1033. I just want to read this one quickly, and then I think maybe we'll see how we can answer it or advise the person. It's a kind of advice in a way to viewers. It says, is it important to go through your phone media and delete any unwanted photos, especially with children and gory photos, before traveling, because authorities can check any day? Does it mean we also have to disengage auto downloads on social media? These are revelations. I think it's a question with an answer with itself.
Exactly. And I think it's true, right? That it's very necessary for us to, one way or the other. Just for cybersecurity awareness, it's always important to turn off auto downloads, because you wouldn't know. What if what is being downloaded onto your device is a malware, right? Automatically you've accepted it, right? So it's very important that you turn that feature off, and then choose to download things as and when you really want to. But once you download and you realize that it has such a content, that's why I've still left space for the points of contact. Immediately you do a report, right? And then you can delete it, right? So you make a report. Once you report it, you'll be taken through certain things, or certain requirements will be asked of you. Once that process is done, we'll give you advices on what to do. You understand?
Right.
So, of course, and don't forget, if you are the perpetrator, right, you should know that once you've deleted, it doesn't mean it is gone, right? Once it
Exactly.
traces back to you, there are ways to get or retrieve it out. So, yeah, you should be careful.
Right. So if you are intending or you have that habit of sharing or forwarding things of this nature to other people, and you think once you forward it and you delete it, you are safe, remember there are forensic tools that can bring back and restructure all these deleted file path, and we can get that on
Exactly.
your device. So don't ever think
Exactly.
you are just done by deleting it. Deleting it is just taking it away from the operating system, recognizing that that thing is on your device, but in there it's still on your device. So be careful on what you download on your group pages, on your social media apps, on your social media pages. Be careful about what you're downloading and what you're forwarding. You might not know when the alarm will blow, and then your device will be requested for a forensic checkup. Right. So on that note, we want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Isaac Socrates Mensah for this wonderful section he has had with us on the Power Impact series, giving us this wonderful nugget. And we say, hey, we can thank him enough for coming today and sharing this with us. This is the latest act, and we need to be abreast with it so that we can maneuver our way through the cyberspace. Thank you so much for joining. We want to say thank you, and then we will see you same time next week on the same platform, same time here for another wonderful nugget. This is the month of cybersecurity awareness, and that's why we chose to bring on board a cybersecurity expert to talk to us about our Cybersecurity Act 2020 Act 1038. So keep your questions coming, and we shall push them all to Mr. Isaac Socrates to get you the feedback. Thank you very much for joining us for this wonderful episode. My name has been Benjamin Ozuans, and as I always say, dreams are in levels. Make sure you get to the top level of your dream, and make sure you know what you are downloading onto your device. Make sure that you are safe in whatever you are forwarding or whatever you are sending to the third person from where you receive it from. To meet again same time next week, I just want to say thank you for joining us for today's episode. See you same time next week. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.